Being a good person is not rewarded the way you were told. Not consistently. Not immediately. Not fairly. You were taught that kindness returns kindness, that honesty earns respect, that loyalty builds trust. And sometimes it does, but often it doesn't. Often the honest man is taken advantage of. The loyal man is betrayed. The kind man is mistaken for weakness. And when this happens, most good people face a crisis. Not financial, not physical, existential. Why do I keep trying if this is the result? Stoicism does not offer false comfort here. It offers brutal clarity. And clarity, even when painful, is more valuable than comfortable illusion. Let's begin with the first brutal reality. Reality 1. Good people are often underestimated. Kindness is frequently misread. When you are patient, people assume you are passive. When you are generous, people assume you are desperate. When you are calm, people assume you are unaware. The world is conditioned to respect aggression, loud voices, dominant behavior, forceful personalities. Quiet goodness often goes unnoticed, not because it is less powerful, but because it is less visible. Epictetus warned his students not to seek applause for virtue. He understood that genuine goodness rarely announces itself, and genuine goodness is often invisible until it disappears. Most people do not appreciate consistency until it is gone. They do not value honesty until they meet deception. They do not recognize loyalty until they experience betrayal. The good man is taken for granted not out of malice, but out of familiarity. Familiarity breeds expectation. Expectation breeds entitlement. And entitlement destroys gratitude. The brutal truth is this. Your goodness will not always be seen while you are giving it. But Stoicism says something deeper. That is not the reason you are good. You are not good for applause. You are good because it aligns with your values. Because your conscience requires it. Because character is built in unnoticed moments. When you tie goodness to recognition, you give others control over your virtue. When you untie it, you become free. Reality 2. Goodness without boundaries is weakness. This is where many good people destroy themselves. They confuse goodness with unlimited availability. They give endlessly. They tolerate repeatedly. They forgive without condition. And they call it virtue. But Stoicism makes a clear distinction. Goodness is not the absence of boundaries. It is strength directed with wisdom. Marcus Aurelius was one of the most virtuous men in recorded history. Yet he commanded armies. He made difficult decisions. He exiled people who threatened Rome. He understood that justice sometimes requires firmness, that protecting what matters requires saying no. A good person who cannot say no is not virtuous. He is vulnerable, and vulnerability exploited becomes resentment. Many good people accumulate silent anger over time. Why? Because they give beyond capacity. They say yes when they mean no. They absorb mistreatment in the name of kindness. They allow access to their peace in the name of loyalty. And eventually, they either explode or collapse. The brutal reality is this. Goodness without boundaries does not protect others. It destroys you. True virtue includes self-respect. It includes the wisdom to recognize when generosity is being exploited, and the courage to withdraw it. Reality 3. Not everyone deserves your goodness. This sounds harsh, but it is protective. Some people will consistently take without appreciation. Some will exploit kindness repeatedly. Some will interpret patience as permission. Stoicism does not demand that you remain open to everyone. It demands that you act with wisdom. Wisdom includes discernment. Discernment asks, does this person value what I offer? Does this relationship build or drain? Is my goodness creating growth or enabling weakness? If someone repeatedly disrespects your honesty, continuing to offer is not virtue. It is self-neglect. If someone exploits your generosity, continuing to give is not kindness. It is abandonment of self-respect. Seneca wrote about choosing companions carefully, because character is contagious. If you surround yourself with people who do not value goodness, your goodness erodes. Not dramatically. Gradually, you begin compromising. You begin adjusting standards. You begin tolerating what once disturbed you. That erosion is dangerous. The brutal reality is this. Selective goodness is not selfishness. It is wisdom. You can be genuinely good while being strategically protective of where that goodness goes. Now reflect. Have you been giving goodness to people who do not value it? Have you confused tolerance with virtue? Have you allowed exploitation in the name of being a good person? These are uncomfortable questions, but they are necessary, because Stoicism demands honest self-examination, not to make you cynical, but to make you clear. Goodness is a powerful quality, but it must be protected, not hidden, not eliminated, protected. And in the next part, we go deeper into the internal cost of goodness and how to sustain it without losing yourself. Goodness has a cost. Most people never talk about this. They celebrate virtue. They praise kindness. They admire patience. But they rarely acknowledge what sustaining these qualities actually demands. It demands energy that IT demands restraint. IT demands consistent discipline. And without proper internal management, even the most genuine goodness burns out. Let's go deeper. Reality 4. Good people absorb what others release. When you are calm, people bring you their chaos. When you are patient, people test your limits. When you are kind, people deposit their pain. This is not always intentional. People naturally gravitate toward stability. They seek the steady person in crisis. They lean on the reliable one in difficulty. They trust the calm one with their heaviest problems. And while this reflects genuine respect, it also creates invisible weight. You carry other people's emotions, other people's problems, other people's instability. Over time, this accumulates. The good person who does not protect his energy becomes emotionally exhausted, not because he is weak, but because he is constantly giving without replenishing. Stoicism teaches self-governance. You cannot pour from emptiness. You cannot offer genuine goodness when you are depleted. Marcus Aurelius understood that sustaining virtue requires inner maintenance, daily reflection, daily renewal, daily protection of mental space. If you do not protect your energy, goodness becomes performance. You appear kind while feeling resentful. You appear patient while feeling drained. You appear generous while feeling empty. That is not virtue. That is exhaustion wearing a mask. The brutal reality is this. You must protect your energy as fiercely as you protect your values. Because without energy, values cannot be sustained. Reality 5. Being good does not protect you from betrayal. This is perhaps the most painful truth. You can be loyal and still be abandoned. You can be honest and still be lied to. You can be kind and still be used. Goodness does not create immunity. It does not guarantee reciprocity. And when betrayal comes from someone you treated well, the wound is deep because it attacks more than trust. It attacks your belief in your own judgment. How did I not see this? Why did I give so much? Was any of it real? These questions are natural, but Stoicism reframes them. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what others do, only what we do. If you gave loyalty genuinely, that loyalty reflects your character, not theirs. If you offered honesty sincerely, that honesty reveals your integrity, not their response to it. The betrayal is their character exposed, not yours destroyed. This is a critical distinction. Many good people allow betrayal to corrupt their goodness. They become cynical, they become closed, they become hard. And in doing so, they punish future relationships for past wounds. The Stoic response is different. Learn from the experience. Adjust your boundaries. Refine your discernment. But do not abandon virtue. Because abandoning virtue punishes yourself, not the person who betrayed you. Your goodness is yours. Protect it from bitterness. Reality 6. People will test how much they can take. Human nature includes testing limits. Not always consciously, but consistently. When someone is consistently kind, people gradually push further. They arrive later. They ask for more. They apologize less. Not necessarily out of malice, but because no boundary was firmly established. The good person who never says no trains people to expect unlimited access. And when that access is finally withdrawn, they feel confused. You've changed. You're not the same. But you haven't changed. You simply established what was always necessary. The brutal reality is this. People respect what they cannot easily access. When you are endlessly available, you become ordinary. When you establish limits, you create value. This is not manipulation. It is self-respect. And self-respect is not incompatible with goodness. It is the foundation of sustainable goodness. The man who respects himself gives from abundance. The man who neglects himself gives from desperation. Abundance creates genuine generosity. Desperation creates resentment disguised as kindness. Reality 7. Goodness attracts both genuine people and opportunists. Light attracts everything. Moths and butterflies. Your goodness will draw people who genuinely appreciate it, and people who intend to exploit it. The challenge is discernment. Stoicism values wisdom alongside virtue. Virtue without wisdom is naive. Wisdom without virtue is cold. Together, they create principled living. Be good, but observe. Watch how people respond to your kindness over time. Not their words. Their patterns. Words are easy. Patterns reveal character. Does this person appreciate consistency? Do they reciprocate respect? Do they honor boundaries? Or do they take more when given more? Discernment protects goodness from exploitation, and protected goodness sustains itself. Now reflect. Have you been sustaining goodness while depleting yourself? Have you allowed betrayal to threaten your virtue? Have you confused unlimited availability with genuine kindness? These are difficult questions, but honest answers create clarity, and clarity creates better choices. Being a good person is not weakness, but it requires strength most people underestimate. In the next part, we confront the internal battle of maintaining goodness in a world that does not always reward goodness. Sometimes it punishes it. The honest man is called naive. The patient man is called weak. The principled man is called rigid. And standing firm in virtue, while the world misreads, it requires a level of internal strength most people never develop. This is the hidden battle of good people, not against others, against doubt. Let's continue. Reality 8. Goodness will be mistaken for weakness. This is inevitable. When you refuse to retaliate, people assume you cannot. When you remain calm under provocation, people assume you are unaware. When you choose peace over conflict, people assume you are afraid. The world often interprets restraint as limitation, but Stoicism knows differently. Restraint is not an ability. It is choice. The disciplined man does not retaliate because he chooses not to, not because he is incapable. There is a profound difference. Marcus Aurelius had the power to destroy enemies ruthlessly. He rarely chose maximum force, not from weakness, from wisdom, because he understood that measured response preserves dignity. Excessive reaction reveals instability. The man who retaliates at every provocation is not strong. He is easily controlled. Anyone can trigger him simply by applying pressure. The man who chooses his battle strategically is genuinely powerful. He cannot be easily provoked. He cannot be easily manipulated. He operates from principle, not emotion. But here is the brutal reality. Not everyone will understand this. Some will continue misreading your restraint as weakness. And you must accept that, because correcting every misperception is exhausting. And exhausting yourself to manage others' opinions is not virtue. It is insecurity. The Stoic allows misunderstanding without losing stability. He knows his character. He does not require others to confirm it. Reality 9. Maintaining goodness requires daily discipline. Most people think goodness is natural, that genuinely good people simply feel kind automatically. But sustained goodness is work. It requires choosing patience when irritation rises, choosing honesty when deception would be easier, choosing generosity when selfishness feels justified, choosing calm when anger feels deserved. Every day presents situations that challenge virtue. The rude colleague, the ungrateful recipient, the person who takes without acknowledgement, the situation that feels deeply unfair. In these moments, goodness is not automatic. It is chosen, and choosing it repeatedly builds character. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of his principles, not because he was naturally perfect, but because virtue requires maintenance. If you stop maintaining it, decay sets in. Small compromises accumulate. Small resentments grow. Small violations of principle compound, and gradually, the good person becomes someone he did not intend to become. The brutal reality is this. Goodness is not a state you achieve. It is a standard you maintain. Daily, under pressure, without applause. Reality 10. Good people must learn when to walk away. Walking away is often misunderstood as abandonment, but sometimes it is the most principled choice available. When a relationship consistently violates your values, staying is not loyalty. It is self-destruction. When an environment consistently punishes your honesty, remaining is not strength. It is suffering without purpose. Stoicism values wisdom and action, and sometimes the wisest action is strategic withdrawal. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in clarity. You recognize that the situation is incompatible with your growth, and you choose to redirect your energy. This requires courage, because good people often feel guilt when withdrawing. They worry about abandoning others. They question their motives. They wonder if they're being selfish. But protecting your integrity is not selfish. It is necessary. You cannot maintain goodness in environments designed to erode it. You cannot sustain virtue alongside people who consistently punish it. Walking away preserves what matters, and what matters is your character. Now consider this. Where in your life are you staying out of guilt rather than genuine value? Where are you absorbing mistreatment in the name of loyalty? Where are you maintaining connection that consistently costs your peace? These are hard questions, but necessary ones, because good people often mistake endurance for virtue. Sometimes endurance is strength. Sometimes it is avoidance of necessary change. Wisdom knows the difference. Reality 11. The internal battle is constant. Every good person faces moments of temptation. Temptation to retaliate. Temptation to deceive. Temptation to abandon principle for convenience. These moments are not signs of weakness. They are signs of being human. The Stoic does not pretend temptation does not exist. He acknowledges it, examines it, and chooses principle anyway. Epictetus said that the good man is not one who never faces temptation, but one who consistently chooses virtue despite it. That consistency builds character depth, and character depth creates stability. The man who has never been tempted has never truly chosen goodness. Genuine virtue is tested virtue, and tested virtue is durable virtue. Now understand something important. The internal battle of maintaining goodness is not a burden to resent. It is an opportunity to refine. Every moment you choose patience over irritation, you strengthen restraint. Every moment you choose honesty over convenience, you deepen integrity. Every moment you choose calm over reaction, you build composure. These choices accumulate, and accumulated virtue becomes identity. You stop having to remind yourself to be good. It becomes your default, your standard, your character. But reaching that level requires surviving the final reality, the one most good people never fully confront. And in the final part, we face it directly and punishes it. The final brutal reality is this. Being a good person will cost you something. Every time. Not always money. Not always relationships. Not always opportunity. But always something. Honesty costs comfort. Loyalty costs convenience. Patience costs immediate satisfaction. Integrity costs shortcuts. Goodness is not free. And the sooner you accept that, the stronger your virtue becomes. Because you stop expecting goodness to be easy. You stop expecting it to be rewarded immediately. You stop expecting the world to recognize it consistently. And you begin practicing it for a deeper reason. Because it is who you choose to be. Reality 12. Goodness without self-respect collapses. This is a final and most important truth. Many good people collapse not because they lack virtue, but because they lack self-respect. They give endlessly without receiving. They tolerate repeatedly without correcting. They absorb consistently without releasing. And eventually they break. Not dramatically, quietly. They become bitter without understanding why. They become resentful without acknowledging the source. They become hollow versions of the generous people they once were. This happens because goodness was built on self-neglect. Stoicism demands something different. It demands that virtue be built on dignity. Dignity says, I will be kind, but I will not be mistreated. I will be patient, but I will not be exploited. I will be generous, but I will not be emptied. I will be loyal, but I will not be betrayed repeatedly without response. These are not contradictions. They are the foundation of sustainable goodness. The man who respects himself gives from strength, and strength-based giving is genuine. It does not accumulate resentment. It does not build hidden anger. It does not eventually demand repayment through passive aggression. It is clean, clear, and consistent. Now understand this fully. Self-respect is not selfishness. It is a structure that keeps goodness standing. Without it, goodness collapses under its own weight. With it, goodness becomes powerful. And powerful goodness changes environments. It changes relationships. It changes the people around you, not through force, through example. Reality 13. The world needs disciplined goodness, not naive goodness. Naive goodness believes everyone deserves unlimited access. Disciplined goodness recognizes that access must be earned. Naive goodness absorbs all pain without limit. Disciplined goodness endures necessary pain while rejecting unnecessary suffering. Naive goodness forgives without requiring change. Disciplined goodness forgives, but adjusts proximity. The distinction is critical because naive goodness burns out. Disciplined goodness endures. Stoicism does not romanticize virtue. It demands that virtue be practiced with wisdom. Wisdom that includes knowing when to give and when to withhold, knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, knowing when to stay and when to walk away, knowing when to forgive and when to create distance. These decisions require strength, not weakness, and making them consistently builds character that neither collapses under pressure nor hardens into cynicism. That balance is rare, and rare things are valuable. Reality 14. Your goodness is your responsibility. No one will protect your virtue for you. No one will remind you to maintain integrity when shortcuts appear. No one will guard your patience when provocation rises. No one will preserve your kindness when exhaustion sets in. That is entirely your responsibility. Marcus Aurelius understood this completely. He wrote reminders to himself because he knew the mind drifts. He knew that without deliberate maintenance, even strong character erodes. You must do the same. Protect your goodness actively. Review your conduct regularly. Ask yourself honestly, am I acting from genuine virtue or from fear of conflict? Am I being patient or being passive? Am I being kind or being desperate for approval? Am I being loyal or tolerating mistreatment? These distinctions matter because they determine whether your goodness is building you or depleting you. Now bring everything together. Good people are underestimated. Goodness without boundaries is weakness. Not everyone deserves your goodness. Good people absorb what others release. Being good does not protect you from betrayal. People will test how much they can take. Goodness attracts both genuine people and opportunists. Goodness will be mistaken for weakness. Maintaining goodness requires daily discipline. Good people must learn when to walk away. The internal battle is constant. Goodness without self-respect collapses. The world needs disciplined goodness, not naive goodness. Your goodness is your responsibility. These are not reasons to abandon virtue. They are reasons to strengthen it.